The great paradox of uncertainty is that we scramble equally to invigorate the familiar and to control the unfamiliar. The dichotomy is that the comfort and certainty of the familiar quickly becomes boring and uninspiring to us. Don't you find it fascinating that this paradox of life is that in the security, the safety, the comfort of the familiar, we crave something new, something exciting, something deliciously unfamiliar. And when the unfamiliar that we've craved shows up, well, we call that a crisis. However, it's in a crisis that we are gifted the opportunity to be inspired, to create and to innovate. Or, of course, we can buy into a meaning that we're being sold in a crisis, that we are somehow powerless and helpless. Let's face it. There is nothing empowering about chomping down and swallowing the fast food messaging that we are at war with an invisible enemy. It's messaging that will leave us hiding in our homes, afraid of a boogeyman forever. You know, Nietzsche said, to live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. Therefore, we, you and I, are responsible for giving our brain something more empowering to focus on. You see, there is a part of our brain, it's called the reticular activated system. It's back here. It's a network of neurons located in your brainstem, and its job is to delete extraneous information in order to save energy by focusing on what's important. Therein lies the problem. You see, if we allow someone or something else to tell us what's important, that's exactly what the reticular activating system will go looking for. Think about it. I'll give you an example. You probably remember when you first got your car, whatever vehicle it is you drive. And you can probably remember driving out onto the road and what it is you noticed. There's a pretty good chance you noticed exactly that model that you bought. Why is that? Because of the reticular activated system of your brain. What happened was the brain went looking for what was familiar to it. It went looking for what was important, and what was important was to validate that you'd made the right decision to buy that. Hence, you kept seeing your particular brand of vehicle wherever you went. So it's clear that we must determine what's really important, not just in a crisis, but in all times. In order to come through a crisis on the other side, being stronger, being more resilient, being more agile, we must discover our own dragon fire. That's the single unified meaning of our life. It will anchor us through the storm and inspire others. Now look, I am not saying throw caution to the wind and ignore the scientific data. Of course not. I'm saying that we need to slow down and breathe so that we can open our minds and become curious, become more informed and far less panicked. It's in a crisis that leaders must displace and replace the false narrative of victimhood that we've been fed. Instead, we must choose to carry a single, monolithic, unified meaning through the darkness and out into the light. Carl Jung said, a psychoneurosis must be understood that ultimately, as a suffering of a soul which has not discovered its meaning. Without meaning, we suffer. Therefore, we must carry this single, monolithic, unified meaning as a torch that pierces through the darkness, even when we can barely see one foot in front of the other. Because every step we take in that single, monolithic, unified meaning, there will be so many others stumbling around in the darkness, so many who need our guidance in order to not give up, in order to keep moving forward. Look, I fully understand there is a very good case to be made for the fear and panic that we're all surrounded by right now. In the lead up to the pandemic, the United States was at a period of historic prosperity. In 2020, February 2020, the unemployment rate was a record low, and by July of 2020, it's likely to be the highest it's been since the Great Depression. So let's not pretend it's not real, it is. However, that doesn't mean that you're powerless. The problem with giving into the fear and the panic is it facilitates the belief in helplessness. And you are not, I am not, we are not helpless. When the unfamiliar and the unpredictable arrive, we call it stressful. And we begin to crave the very thing that we previously tried to escape, the mundane. So we all need to understand this dilemma, because we've all experienced it. We felt the pull towards the exciting and the new while clinging on to the familiar. However, we also know that the juice of life, it's only released when we are squeezed into our own discomfort. We all know that what we truly desire can only be found on the other side of our comfort zone. So just for a moment, stop and consider this. Comfort births complacency. Complacency births laziness. And laziness, well, that's the seeds of ignorance. It's in ignorance that we stop learning, we stop growing. Because things are, well, we like the way they are. Until we don't, of course. Now, if you've been following me for any period of time, over the years, you've likely heard me say many times that your true purpose, your dragon fire, it's not found in your joy, it's not found in your passion, it is found in your pain. Pain catalyzes some form of personal or general crisis. But that crisis can, if you and I choose, it can birth curiosity. And curiosity births agility. And agility births creativity. And creativity is the metal from which the keys are made that unlock our freedom. In truth, you don't need a savior. We don't need a savior because we are not powerless. You are a dragon leader. And it is in these fires of chaos that we are revealed. In these times of great uncertainty, you and I must offer our own anchors of certainty. As leaders, we must carry our unified meaning into the darkness, even when we can barely see one foot in front of the other. Because every step we take, there are thousands of others stumbling around in the darkness, looking for our guidance, for our certainty, in order for them to move forward. Today, we don't need less leadership. We need better, more human-centric dragon leaders. Remember this. If you don't remember anything else, remember this. Dragons, dragon leaders are revealed in fire. I have made it my life's work to be the father of dragons. I am the dragonist. I guide those who already carry the seeds of a dragon within them, but don't know it yet. I guide them to find their own dragon fire. I think you might remember that Luke Skywalker needed Yoda. Arthur needed Merlin. Bilbo Baggins needed Gandalf. Never in our lifetime has there been a better time to look into the place that you have feared to look. It's never been more important for you to embrace the courage within, to find that single, unified meaning that will become the monolithic difference between mediocrity and deep greatness. It is the difference between being a victim of circumstance and being a dragon leader. So stay curious, my friend. Stay curious about the single monolithic meaning of your life.